Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. The difference between the impossible and the possible lies in a person's determination. Tommy Lasorda. Today, consider product placement with Just Minding My Business Media, LLC, with our presence on all major podcast platforms, with listeners in over 200 countries. Visit our website at jmmbmediallc.com to discover other digital products to 10x your business, or contact us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Today we welcome Emmy award-winning camera operator Howie Zales, who turned his passion for television broadcasting into several entrepreneurial endeavors. His multi-million-dollar, now nationwide HJZ Productions Incorporated was created to address the need for professional level sports crewing staffing in the New York market. Veridity Entertainment Services Incorporated, or VES for short, was founded in 2019 and initially focused on staffing in non-union markets. With the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, VES pivoted to offering best-in-class broadcast quality live streams of professional sports shows and interviews, corporate interviews and meetings, as well as religious services. Now, Howie has created a TV sports course, a hands-on training boot camp for the next generation of television crew professionals. Welcome, Howie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Welcome. This is definitely an interest of ours because we do a lot of live streaming. We do TV as well. So we are ready to learn from you. So
Excellent.
How did all of this begin?
So in high school, I needed an elective to finish out my coursework, and this one course, TV production class, had a trip to NBC Studios and a tour of 30 Rock, and to watch a TV show being taped. So as an 11th grader, how bad could that be, right? An easy A. And I figured I'd combine my love of sports and maybe TV, and I was hooked from the first day. And I only, applied to colleges that had television programs and TV stations. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do, combine my love of sports and my new passion, television.
Yeah.
I want to just jump in here for just a second. Before that course in high school, did you ever have any interest at all in television or sports or anything like that?
Definitely sports. I played baseball, basketball growing up competitively, and I wanted to play professional baseball. So that was like my main focus and drive. And then we would go to hockey, basketball, and baseball games a lot. And I'd always watch the camera operators and wonder what they were doing and things like that. So it piqued an interest. And I had family members that were photographers, professional photographers. So it's kind of in the blood.
Okay, it's in the DNA. Very
Yes.
good. Okay, I always like to ask that when I hear someone start young and move into a lifelong profession that they love, because so often the kernel of it started in their youth.
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Absolutely. So tell us about the program that you have and how people are engaging. What do you actually provide? Let's put it that way.
For our course.
Yes, the courses.
Yeah. So there's no training ground for our industry. A lot of it is on the job learning, on the job training. There's no school to go to. You learn in college about television, but you don't learn how to, if you want to be a camera operator, how to shoot a baseball game. So what we came up with, I wrote a book and designed a course to teach the, kids that don't want to go to college, or just kids coming out of college, how to break into the television production or the sports television business and entertainment business. And from the second you park your car to the second you get in your car, no matter what position you're doing, we've outlined your daily responsibilities on the job site. And if you're going to be a camera operator, we outlined how to shoot baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, and boxing from every camera position. Um, and and in the course, we teach the kids how to talk to clients, who the clients are, how to contact them, how to stay in contact with them, how to deal with people professionally. And then we bring in the equipment and teach them how to use the equipment. So the first time they're seeing, cameras and cables and monitors is not the first time they're on the job site. And we, along with the course, developed a 6-month mentorship, but because of COVID, that part of the program kind of got squashed, and we're hoping to revisit that in the next year or so.
Very good. So could you just enter, so many people, we watch television, we watch news programs, and you're talking about training people to be able to step into the profession, having a knowledge of what goes on the floor of filming. Can you briefly walk our listeners through what they're not seeing?
Yeah, sure. So from a camera person's perspective, all sports is a formula, the way it's shot. For example, if you're shooting a football game and you're one of the cameras that's up high, cameras 1, 2, or 3, if the ball is between the goal line and the 20 and is going left to right, you have one set of responsibilities. If the ball's on the other 20 yards goal line to 20 and coming your way, you have a completely different set of responsibilities. So you have to have your head in the game, so to speak. You have to be aware of what's going on, where the ball is, what team has the ball, and what the storylines are, and who the hero of the play is and who is not the hero of the play. Because as soon as the hero of the play is over, you always see the camera cut change. So you have to always be thinking ahead. What's my next shot? What's on now? What can I sell the director so they use my camera?
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
We don't get that at all. We're just busy watching what's going on in front of us. But
Yeah.
the enormity of what goes on behind the scenes, I think is fascinating. I wouldn't want to be in that position. I would not. I'm going to tell you honestly, that would not be my space. But I think it's fascinating because I've had the opportunity to watch those cameras change and watch the language that's coming from the directors to the cameraman. And it is nerve-wracking. It's almost as bad as I think as being in an airplane tower.
Yeah,
Because
it's a whole different language.
Yeah, but it's very exciting. And for you to have caught on to that at such a young age, I'm sure that there are many young people who are dreaming, of being able to do that.
Yeah, I've had a dream career. I've shot, between 8 and 10 Super Bowls, many Olympics, Kentucky Derbies, NHL finals, a lot of big events. And I've worked with WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment, for over 20 something years. I've had the opportunity to shoot over 20 WrestleManias. So I've had the great opportunity to travel the world and been a part of some historic events.
Okay, you talked about one of my favorite sports. I'm not great at football. I'll join the party, but I always root for the opposite team so that every once in a while I win. But the Kentucky Derby, shooting a horse race, what is that like? What is the drama that leads up to it? And just run us through that if you can. Give us a picture.
Yeah, it's a lot of homework, from my perspective, because I operate typically a handheld camera that's wireless. So I can go anywhere I want. I'm just connected with like a little cable to someone behind me that has a stick. It's called an RF stick that allows us to send our signal wirelessly anywhere in the track. And so typically I'll get assigned a horse, an owner, and trainer, and I stick with that group all day long wherever that horse goes, wherever that trainer goes or the owner goes, that's my responsibility. And I float between one or two horses on the big race. And during the race, I shoot the owner or the trainer. Sometimes they're sitting together, depending on who is the bigger name, and hope that they win to get the reaction and the replay after the race.
Fabulous.
That is
Yeah.
fabulous.
It's a very long day.
Yeah.
I can only imagine because it starts really early. Well, it just kind of like never stops once they get in the running. But so about like 4, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we have to get there early because there's a lot of traffic. So usually we get there around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're, they shoot all the races, so we're on air all day long.
Whoa, that is a long day. So let me ask you, do you get to get up close and personal with the, well, I you talk about the trainers and everything. Do you get a chance to get up close and personal with the horse itself and its
Yes.
jockey?
Yes, horse racing could be very dangerous because the horses are very timid thoroughbreds. So you have to know how to act around the horses. And the reason why we use wireless cameras around the horses, because they think if we had camera cables on the ground, they think those are snakes and they don't like snakes.
Ah,
You can't move very quickly when you're around a horse, and you have to position yourself on the correct side of the horse,
Mm.
because if they get angry or upset, they tend to kick to one side. So you have to make sure you're not on that side of the horse. God forbid they do that, you can get hurt. So you have to kind of, know your way around horses, and how to behave and how to act. And they're multi-million-dollar athletes, and they need to be treated that way.
yes.
you go.
Wow.
Well, I've had so many questions. I'll be quiet for a moment. I'll let
Yes,
Ida
I'm just thinking
and you
about.
can jump in.
No, I'm just thinking about what you just said about knowing how to act around an animal, a horse.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you get trained for that? Because I mean, that's
No, I guess from just doing it for so long, you kind of pick up on it, and you're definitely taught how to do it, because you can get hurt or you can hurt the animals, and we certainly don't want to be responsible for, God forbid, an accident, or the horse falling, because if the horse falls, then God forbid they need to be put down. So we don't want to ever be responsible for that.
So that's a good point. And you mentioned it even earlier on, responsibility,
Mhm.
your responsibilities. Unfortunately, some people will hear about what we're talking about and they think of the glamour end of it. Oh, wow. They, do all this stuff around sports and around horses and around football. And that sounds really glamorous, but the big issue is it has to be a very responsible person,
yes.
Mhm.
because it's actually what you're doing is not about you at all.
No.
Could you expound on that? Because I know a lot of young people, they get into the glamour and the excitement, but the issue is much, much bigger.
Yeah, and especially when you're doing a high profile event, working for a high profile company, because you are a representative of the company, right? And if you show up, in, not looking correct, or you show up and you get into an argument or a fight, or you don't behave in a professional adult manner, you're a poor representation of yourself and of the company you're working for. And this day with social media, any wrong, and when with camera phones, any wrong thing that you do is captured, so you have to be responsible for yourself and show up in the correct manner.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting. So how do people, what are the age ranges that you train?
We try to mostly young people now, because the age of freelancers of doing, in our business is getting up there. People are starting to retire, and the pandemic kind of forced some people to retire. So there's less and less people in the industry, and we're doing what we can to try to get some younger blood.
Okay. So what is a good age to start? to bring your kid into this industry?
Yeah, like out of high school, out of college, it's perfect timing.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
You
so,
you definitely don't need to go to college to do it,
right,
to do this business. Um, although some business courses don't hurt because as a television freelancer, you are your own business. So knowing how to do certain things, and operating a business and being self-sufficient can't hurt. So although you don't have to go to college at all because it's a skill to learn, it's not a bad idea to take some sort of business courses because you always want to invest in yourself, invest in your future. And without that knowledge, you won't be able to do that.
okay, so what I'm hearing, that's really an important piece, that they don't have to go to college for it. But you're talking about getting young people involved. You were in high school when you were introduced to it.
Mhm.
And how do young people today, I guess I'm asking, how do they get in touch with you if they
Yes.
hear this and they decide that this is something that they're interested in?
Yeah, they can get in touch with me on social media at Howie Zales, my website, howiezales.com, or the broadcastsportscourse.com. And we're just about to launch a new podcast, which is going to be around the television production industry, where we're going to interview all different, crew people. It's gonna be called TV Crew Talk, and where we're going to give a lot of information about how to get into the business, talk about the business, get younger people excited about the business, and try to get some, through that way, try to get some new blood into the business.
Fabulous, because it is exciting.
It
It is an
is.
exciting business.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's fun.
Yeah. And I'll share this. I do have a radio television background. That's why I
Oh, you
know
do?
that how much fun it is. And also that you don't need to go to college. I did not major anything around television or radio. And but it is a skill and it is a huge responsibility, but it is also loads of fun. Once
Yeah.
you get that skill together, boy, and like I said, I've always enjoyed watching those people who have your type of skill. Being in the background, just watching all the switching and the camera calls and the fact that they get it done is
Mhm.
just amazing. So if there are young people listening or there are older ones listening who have nieces, nephews, who really have a desire, yeah, get in touch with this man.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
got
absolutely.
he's got what it takes, because again, many high schools and most colleges don't offer this hands-on, behind the scenes kind of work.
Well, and I went to college for television, and I didn't never once did they mention the word freelancer or that this was even out there to do. I kind of found it on my own. So what I try to do is pay it back and, let the world know that this is an opportunity.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a hard industry to break into. So anything we can do to make it easier, we'd love to do that.
I know that there's a high school in Baltimore. They have a television radio department where they're training up high school students in this area. So when you talked about it, it made me think about this particular school. Now, do
Right.
you reach out to schools that may have a program in place?
Yeah. And I speak all the time at colleges and as a guest speaker and just trying to offer my story and, what is out there potentially and any advice that I can give. I certainly try to do that to younger kids now as well.
Okay, so what do you look for? And is there particular traits, I guess, for lack of a better word, that you look for in a
Yeah.
student? Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Awesome question. Someone that, and you can pick this out a mile away, that will give 110% every single time they show up. They don't have to be the best camera person or audio person or utility, but as long as they try 110% or give 110% of themselves every time they show up, I'd rather have a person that has 80% of the skill level because I can train them, but
Mhm.
as long as they have the attitude, that's all that matters.
Yes, attitude is
Attitude is
everything.
99.9% of everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. That I talked to my son about that because he likes art, and I'm like, don't worry about having experience, have
Right.
enthusiasm.
Mhm.
Show that you really want to do this. Uh, don't go in with the attitude that's not my job. Do it
Right.
all,
Right.
whatever's asked of you, because at the end of the day, it's going to be growth and learning for you,
Mhm.
no matter what it is. So I like what you just said. So people want to get actually enroll in your program. They should go to your website or
Yep.
okay.
Yeah. HowieZales.com, which is kind of like our company's family of websites. And then the broadcast sports course is the website for the course. And then we have our business, Veridity Entertainment, or VES, which is our live stream business, which is also under that umbrella of HowieZales.com.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
So I have a question. During the pandemic, how was the camera industry going for you during the pandemic?
Yeah, March 11th, 2020, everything shut down. We had to cancel everyone that we had booked for us. Um, yeah, we like a lot of other businesses had nothing. So I kind of thought, what are we going to do for income? I was thinking, I knew this live stream thing was out there, but a few years down the road. So I did some research, and I met this guy Jamie, who had gotten into live streaming, and we hit it off and we talked. And then I talked to the rabbi at the temple I go to. And I was like, Brian, we're not going to be able to do the services in September or even weekly how we used to be able to do them. We need to buy these types of cameras. We need this, we need that, and we need computers. And I set them all up. I set the temple up with all of this live streaming equipment and trained the rabbi on how to use it. And I was like, there's got to be a way to monetize this as a
Mhm.
business. And then no sooner did I have that thought, a client called and said, we need to interview 9 baseball players in 9 separate cities in 9 separate weeks, but the interviewer cannot leave her home. Can you do that? And I was like, of course we can. So I hung up the phone. I told my wife, Jenny, the story, and I'm like, I have no idea how we're going to do it, but we will figure it out. And we did. And we built the business around it.
Yes, yes.
Fabulous.
Yes, the pandemic kind of opened up a whole new arena with the streaming and things like that. And even for us, we've been able to interview people in Paris and London, just because of the streaming technology. And for me, I have a technology background of over 25 years. So it was really quite easy in terms of operating the computer and
Right.
putting everything together. That was like right up my alley. So streaming is definitely here to stay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is not going anywhere. And some good techniques when you are doing the live streaming. Share that with us, because we do a lot of people that we do a lot of interviews with authors and things like that. And people come in the interview with phones and things like that. So best practice.
Best practice. Okay, I'll go through my list. First, you never want to be connected to Wi-Fi. You always want to be plugged into your Ethernet router with Ethernet cable, and you want to make sure your Wi-Fi is turned off, because some computers, even though you're connected, will try to use the Wi-Fi signal first. So as long as you're connected through Ethernet, turn your Wi-Fi off. because think of the Wi-Fi as like an EKG where it's spiking up and down,
Mhm.
right? If you're on Ethernet, it's just going to be one continuous straight even signal. So Ethernet only. You want to have good lighting. In TV, we call it 3-point lighting. So right in front of me is my camera. I have one light off to each side. This light shooting this side, that light shooting this side, and I have a light above me shooting my head and shoulders, separating me from the background. Um, and then you want a good camera and a really good microphone, because without a good microphone, it doesn't matter what you're saying, people can't understand you, and you never want to use AirPods.
Ah, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Never.
Thank you. Thank you. What about phones? Cell phones? Well, that's wireless. So that's
Yeah,
much out.
yeah, we know. Yeah, we never use phones unless we're going for that look. Unless there's a reason for it. But yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's pretty much with our channel, our TV channel. Those are the same things that we tell our folks who are creating their shows, is to make sure they're connected to Ethernet, because I know about the Wi-Fi. They just came out with these wireless printers, and all the time I can't print. That's because the printer is on wireless. It's trying
Right.
to go through the air. It's going to print sometimes, and then sometimes it's not going to print. You need
Right.
that connection directly to the computer. And
Right.
that's, the Ethernet thing. I'm everything in my house is wired to the Ethernet, because I don't like that drop stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I have laptops, and certain areas I haven't plugged to the Ethernet. Now, if I'm
Right.
outside or whatever, I might use Wi-Fi, but in the house, it's all Ethernet.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. Wow. I'm glad we talked about that, because that's really critical. If you want to get a good take, and a lot of times you can repurpose that shoot if it's done
Oh yeah.
properly, if you're using the right equipment.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
I
Wow.
want to ask a question, and it's something along the lines of this, because it's knowing your equipment, knowing you've built one business. What are some of the other businesses that work well, that you found work well with what your original business was? I know you talk about the television broadcast industry, but you also talk about building multiple businesses. What should
Mhm.
those businesses look like?
What should what? I'm sorry.
What should those other businesses look like so that they work together, sort of, I guess?
Yeah. So my first business, which I started in 2000, we hire TV crews for sports and entertainment events across the country. Um, and you try, if you starting a business, you have to know kind of what you're doing, what industry you're in. So for me, I was looking for other businesses that would make sense, that I wouldn't have to first learn about the industry. What can I do in my industry that could um, that I could pick up quickly? And because of my first business, I was able to self-fund my second business and didn't have to, go borrow money at, to start that business, because it was in my somewhat in my area of expertise,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yes, I had to specifically learn about live streaming, but
Mhm.
still a lot of it was still TV and computer based, which I obviously know a lot about. So it didn't take a long time to get up to speed.
So when you teach about TV and broadcast industry, you're teaching these young people, do you also have a segment that kind of like sets them up or keeps them mindful that at some point they may want to transition, that they may want to build another business out of their business? Because I know that happens to all of us. We get to some point and then we decide, out of necessity, Hopefully they will not have a COVID-19 in their
Hopefully not.
lifetime, but you never know. And this is an important thing, to be able to take what you know and turn it in another direction.
Well, I do, and why I do that, and why I did it for me was because I always wanted to have a backup, right? I was always afraid that what happens if I got hurt, and I knew, and I've gotten hurt. I've had 3 concussions. I had back surgery when in 2005. So I always knew that I needed a backup. So for me, that was my driving force. And that's what I kind of teach in the course is, yeah, this is a great industry, but you should always have a backup, always be thinking, what else can I be doing? How else can I be supplementing? Is it a business that I'm interested in starting? Is there a topic or an area that I want to get involved with that I could, help supplement my career with?
Mhm.
That is very good. I
Yeah.
think that's really important. And I think it's more important now than it's ever been, because life is so uncertain. I mean, that's what the pandemic taught us. The
Right.
pandemic taught us that nothing necessarily lasts forever. Things can change in a New York second.
Yeah.
That's-
And I think like the big thing is like, how can you set yourself up with and having the mindset to do this, to have reoccurring income without having to do anything, or once it's set up,
Mhm.
right? So we try to go after things like that.
Mhm. Yes, absolutely. So how long is your courses? I mean, do you have tell me what the intervals are for your courses?
Yeah, so it's right now it's a 2-day in-person boot camp, with then training goes on with phone calls and things like that after the fact with me. Hopefully in a year, within the next year, we can ramp up the apprenticeship part of the course. Because of COVID, that was shut down.
Yeah, yeah, COVID, it definitely had its toll on many
Yeah.
businesses. And, we heard about the restaurant business and all that, but we didn't think about other businesses that were affected like what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That was definitely probably heavily affected as well,
Absolutely.
for sure. Wow. This has been very, very enlightening, very, very interesting, to say the least. And we definitely have to have you back, Howie, because
Oh, I would love to.
we are, because we're in the broadcasting business, we are honored to be in your presence with all that
Uh-huh.
you've done,
Mhm.
and to be able to learn from you so that we can better what we're doing. So we definitely appreciate this opportunity and looking forward to more.
Of
Yeah.
course.
So go ahead, Ruth.
Just really, as I've been listening to you and I think about what you've accomplished and what you do, and the training that you have to offer, I would really look forward to hearing more about how you work with young people, with these young people, and encouraging them to take on this really monumental business that is not going anywhere. We are always going to have communications.
Yes.
And like we talked about, we know that live streaming, video, all that is going nowhere. It's here to stay.
Yes.
So this is a really huge opportunity for young people to step into. And I thank you for bringing that to us.
Yes,
course.
and being able to do it in a professional manner,
Mhm.
and with detail oriented, that kind of thing. It's one thing jumping on doing a Facebook Live, but it's another thing actually putting all of the pieces in place, making sure this is that, and
Mhm.
being very strategic about it.
Yeah, we have systems and processes for everything. And for every show that we do something. So if we have we do tech checks for all of our shows. We check people in 2 or 3 days before the show to make sure the computers we sent them work, to make sure their microphone and cameras work. So today we did a tech check with a piece of our equipment that was in California, I think the person was, and we have a system. We do it line by line, we go through, and something wasn't working. So someone referred back to the system, checked the notes, fixed the computer because of the system we have in place, and we're able to move forward. So having systems and processes help make sure that you have quality productions.
Absolutely.
So is there something that you would like to leave our audience with, Howie? Something specific you had in your mind?
Yeah, if anyone needs live stream productions, we're Veridity Entertainment is here, or questions about the industry, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn at Howard Zales, or my website is howiezales.com, and our company's websites are all within howiezales.com.
Right. Thank you so much, Howard. This has been definitely a pleasure and a
Same here.
learning experience for us. And as you were saying, some of the things to be prepared for, I was like, we're already doing that. I was thinking in my head. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share this important information with our audience and us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you both.